All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to break down a proven framework for getting rich. And here's the kicker. It has absolutely nothing to do with luck or having a trust fund. This is all based on the journey of entrepreneur Dan Martell, and it's a system that, honestly, anyone can follow.
I mean, look at this. This isn't just some theory, right? This is a proven path from 0 to 9 figures. It's wild. So you have to ask, what are the rules? What's the secret sauce that makes a transformation like this even possible? And that really is the big question, isn't it? If you're like most of us, and you're not some overnight success or you didn't get a giant inheritance, how in the world do you build real, lasting wealth? Well, I'll tell you this. It starts with a plan. Not a lot of repicking.
Okay, so that plan, it all starts with rule number 1. Before you can even think about getting rich, you've got to define what rich actually means to you. And it's not some vague, fuzzy idea. Nope, it's a specific number. So let's figure out what yours is.
And look, we're not talking about yachts and private jets here, okay? The goal, what we're calling true rich, is freedom. It's that magic point where your passive income, the money you make while you sleep, covers your entire lifestyle. Work suddenly becomes a choice, not something you have to do.
All right, to make this super concrete, let's just pick a target. Let's say you want to live comfortably on an annual income of, say, $100,000, all from your investments. That's our starting point, a nice round number to work with.
You know, the math to figure this out is actually surprisingly simple. It's all based on something called the 4% rule, which is a pretty standard idea in personal finance. The whole concept is that you can safely pull out 4% of your investments every single year and you won't run out of money. So you just take that annual income you want and divide it by 0.04.
And boom, there's your answer. For a $100,000 annual income, your freedom number is $2.5 million. That's it. That's your target. It's the finish line for financial freedom. So, now for the big question. How on earth do we earn that kind of money?
Okay, that brings us right to rule number 2. Think of it this way. You need an engine to generate all that capital. And that engine is a high-income skill. Something the world values so much that they are willing to pay you a lot of money for it.
And these high-income skills pretty much fall into one of 4 buckets, the 4 M's. Making, marketing, monetizing, or managing. And you know what the best part is? You do not need a fancy degree for any of these. Seriously, you can learn how to create awesome stuff, how to get attention, how to sell, or how to manage big projects, all on your own.
Here's the key, though. You gotta pick one, and then you go all in. No dabbling. Commit to becoming one of the best in the world at that one thing. We're talking about a super focused effort for at least 1,000 days. That's what separates the amateurs from the real high earners. That deep obsessive focus.
All right, so let's say you've done that. You've mastered a skill, you're earning really good money. Great. But that alone isn't going to make you free. And that's where rule number 3 comes in. This is all about making the shift from just earning money to owning the machine that makes the money.
Yeah, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? A big salary is awesome, for sure. But you're still just trading your time for money. Think about it. You go on vacation, the income stops. True wealth, real freedom, comes from ownership. Owning a piece of the machine that keeps running whether you show up that day or not.
So how do you get there? Well, here's the path. Step 1, use that high-income skill of yours to stack up some serious cash. Just build those cash piles. Step 2, reinvest that money into your number 1 absolute best asset, which is you. Sharpening your skills will always pay the highest dividends. And then finally, you invest the profits into assets that work for you. Could be your own business, could be something as simple as an S&P 500 index fund.
Okay, now, if you want to get to that freedom number, but you want to get there faster, then you need to understand maybe the most powerful concept in all of wealth creation. And that's rule number 4, using leverage, not just your own labor.
This really breaks it down perfectly. Labor is linear. You put in 1 hour of work, you get 1 hour of results. Simple. But leverage is exponential. A tiny bit of effort can generate a massive outcome. See the difference? Labor adds, leverage multiplies.
And there are basically 4 main types of leverage you can use. You've got code, think software, automation, AI. That stuff works for you 24/7. Then there's content, like a video or a playbook. It can teach millions of people without you lifting another finger. Then you've got capital, which is just using your money to make more money. And finally, collaboration, which is harnessing the incredible skills and energy of other people. But think about it. Having a valuable skill and using all this leverage, it's completely useless if nobody knows you exist.
And that brings us to rule number 5. You have to build a distribution engine. In other words, a system for reaching your audience. You just can't be the world's best kept secret.
Man, this quote is so powerful because it's just so true. Hoping your stuff goes viral? That's not a strategy. That's just hoping you get lucky. But building a reliable audience? That's a system. That's something you can actually control. It's about engineering your reach, not just crossing your fingers and hoping for it.
So how do you actually build this system? Okay, here's the plan. First, pick one social media channel and just master it. Then, you post consistently, daily, for the long haul. Third, you give away your best stuff, for free. That's how you build trust. Then, and this is key, you move that audience onto a list that you own, like email or SMS, so some platform can't just take them away from you. And finally, you just weave your offers naturally into all that valuable content you're creating.
So we've covered all the practical stuff, right? The what and the how. But honestly, getting all the mechanics right, that's only half the battle. The final rules, they're all about mastering the game inside your own head. This is about your relationship with money and really your whole definition of success. And this distinction is absolutely critical. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Good debt is just another form of leverage. You borrow money to buy an asset that's going to make you more money. Bad debt, that's when you borrow to finance your lifestyle, or like Dan calls it, to finance your flex. He actually learned this the hard way with the super expensive snowboard trip he put on a credit card. One builds wealth, the other just digs you into a deeper hole.
And this right here, this might be the most important mindset shift of all. The ultimate goal isn't just some number in a bank account. The real goal is to own your time. True freedom is looking at your calendar and realizing that you and nobody else get to decide how you spend every single one of your days.
Because this whole journey, it's really not just about stacking up money. The process of mastering a skill, of building a system from scratch, of developing that discipline, it actually changes who you are. The real reward isn't the money, it's the person you get to become along the way. That capable, resilient, creative person.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought. The ultimate sign that you've really become wealthy is when your work feels like play, when you wake up genuinely excited to do what you do. So the question for you isn't just about how much money you'll make, it's with all that freedom, what will you choose to create?